Welcome everyone to our Friday class today. So today's class is kind of a fun one. We've been planning it for a couple of weeks. We thought it would be fun to talk about why we share doTERRA with other people and kind of some of the questions that we've gotten from over the years from different people about doTERRA and how to share it and why. So we're just going to jump into it. We'll start by each one of us is going to share a little bit why we started doing doTERRA, why we continue to do it, and then we're going to just turn it into a panel discussion where we're going to talk about the different questions that we've had people ask us or concerns that people have had about sharing doTERRA. So I'll go ahead and start. For me, I started sharing, well, just so you know a little bit about me, doTERRA is the one and only product that I have ever sold. I've never done any other network marketing. I've never done any other direct sales, just doTERRA, and that's it. And I started simply because I was desperate to have oils. I wanted to have oils, and I wanted to know how to use the oils. So when I went to my first class and they talked about sharing doTERRA and that I could earn enough money through sharing doTERRA with other people that I could have oils and it wouldn't be a financial hardship on us, I jumped in with both feet because that was originally why I started. I also saw when I went to my first class, and you see it here with all the classes we do, I saw that by joining doTERRA, I was joining a network of people that could help me learn how to use oils. Because I had been using oils. When I went to my first class 8 years ago, I had been already using oils for probably 3 or 4 years, but I really didn't know what I was doing. And I say the word desperate, but I was really desperate to have somebody teach me how to use oils and what to do, because I really wanted to be able to use them on my family at home. And I had gone to a few other classes in other places with other different oil companies and never felt like I was in a place where I was going to get supported to really learn until I came to doTERRA. So for me, why I started was, number one, I just wanted to make enough money that I could have all the oils that I wanted, and I wanted the education that I saw that I could get. So moving forward now, 8 years later, doTERRA has been a huge, huge blessing in my life. One of the biggest blessings that I've gotten from sharing doTERRA that I didn't expect to get is I have changed. I've become a more confident person. I've become the person that I always used to look at and say, man, I wish I could be that person. Man, wish I could be somebody who was confident and self-assured and could, just be an influence in the world. And I feel like I've become that because of what I've learned through sharing doTERRA. Another one is, well, the reason why I continue to do it is I still want to have oils. I still want to have oils and not have to pay a ton of money for them. And I also still want to be connected with other people who are learning along with me and growing with me in their knowledge of how to use natural health care. But even more than that, I feel like sharing doTERRA makes me who I want to be. And yeah, the money's great. I've made some really good money with doTERRA. And it used to be that my why was centered around how much money I could make with doTERRA. But as the years have passed, I've really come to a place where I share doTERRA because I like me when I do it. I like who I am. I like what setting goals with doTERRA has done for me. And that's why I continue to do it. So that's why, for me, I'm just going to go around my screen. And so it'll go Callie, then Jana, then Megan, then Jamie. Okay.
Hit the wrong button. Okay. Well, this is part of my why, is the freedom to do this. So I'm sitting in a parking lot. I'm going to try to flip my phone around. I'm at our high school because my son's at practice, and Stephanie is actually in the car right next to me. So let me flip that back around. So my name is Callie, for those of you that don't know who I am, and I've been actively building a doTERRA business for just starting my 5th year. And I agree with Stephanie on, like, it did surprise me on how much it would help me grow as a person. And honestly, that has been probably my one of the tops in my book of the business. Second is the relationships that I've made. So all these women that are on this call right now that you're going to hear from, I would have never probably met a few of you, like Jamie, Janet, and Megan. Stephanie, we've seen each other at, pass in the hallways of the school. I remember in elementary, but our relationship probably would have never grown beyond a hello or a good morning at the school. I don't know, who knows, right? But so that's been like the big thing of it. Also is the power of the oils and the products. We can help so many people just by opening our mouth and offering a sample, or, hey, have you ever thought of trying this? True healing in that. And then also as we bring in business partners, to watch them develop into their best selves and their growth and the way and the people that they touch and heal. That's this last year has been really like huge for me to see others like flourishing in that as well. And we're all surrounding ourselves with like-minded people. I mean, I could talk forever, but I'll pass it on to the next.
All right, so it's my turn. I agree with everything that Stephanie and Callie have said. And for me, the reason I started sharing, simply put, is because God told me to. And I believe in God, and I believe that we are here for a reason, and one of those reasons is for us to learn and grow. And like both Stephanie and Callie have said, it's a really great opportunity to learn and grow being in this business. And I feel like we all have our own experiences we're meant to have to get us to where we're meant to go and to be. And doTERRA is supposed to be that for me. And so I started teaching others, and I started sharing. And last year, I was helping a good friend of mine to overcome her depression and anxiety. And it all started when my husband felt prompted to stop at her house when we were on our morning walk one day. And as we were visiting with her, it became apparent that she needed help. And so that led to her coming over to my house and me teaching her about the power of essential oils and about doTERRA's amazing supplements. And we put oil on her, and we started doing that. We did it for 5 weeks. And during that process, she started taking the Lifelong Vitality supplements, and her life began to change. And one day she expressed to me how grateful that she was that we had stopped that day. And she told me, thank you for teaching me and for sharing with me. And because her life is very different today because of it. And she said that one of the biggest things is that she can feel again. And she can feel a different kind of a real happy and a joy. And when I heard this, I felt so incredibly happy that I was able to make a difference in somebody else's life. And my first thought was, this is why I do this, to make a difference in other people's lives. And knowing that I had made that difference was incredible, the best feeling ever. And I knew that this is what it was all about. And so because of that, I will never stop sharing. And so that's why I do this. And I'm going to pass it on to the next person.
You ladies are so inspiring. I just love hearing your whys all over again. And it's like, it's amazing what this business has meant to each one of us. And I'll kind of go quickly because you can probably hear my baby crying in the background. We're trying to work on her doing naps in her crib. But so, why did I start using doTERRA in our house? It was at a time when we were looking for tools to have on hand to keep ourselves healthy. I wanted stuff for us, you know, my kids, my dogs, that would be a wellness, you know, support our wellness journey. And when we found these that actually work and they are natural, and the company that stands behind them is amazing. I don't even think amazing is a good enough word to use. You know, it's just a remarkable company that has blown us away at every step, and is really the change we want to see in the world. You know, I definitely believe strongly in be the change you want to see in the world, and doTERRA embodies that to a T. So aligning with them was a very easy choice for us. Bonus was the community and all our sisterhood that we've formed here, and that I didn't even know was possible or was coming my way when we said yes to doTERRA that day. But I'm so thankful, you know, for our sisterhood here. Like, it's just amazing that we can support each other and come to each other and be like, okay, we need help with this. And like, there's no judgment, there's just help. And it's just so remarkable to have that. And across large areas, what are we, Utah, Idaho, Alaska, did I get all the states? Colorado. And so that's just amazing. I didn't know that was possible. And, you know, what inspired me to start sharing and opening my mouth was just realizing the potential for self-reliance that we had in our house. And I had a deep inspiration to help the next person up. I found these solutions. I found that they work. I did my research. I know that they work. I know how great they are. I know the potential. And self-reliance is definitely something very important to us. And I could go teach another mom how to be self-reliant to take care of her kiddos and her dogs. How can you say no? I mean, it's just such a blessing, or, you know, for us to be able to do that. You know, for us, it's a privilege for us to have where we can go share with other folks and other moms and help them out. Like what Jana was saying. It's just stories like that are like, how can we say no? It's just who we are. And so I will run and pick up Renly and pass it off to the next person.
All right. I'm not sure what else I can add to all of that, because I am in the same boat as everybody else. I absolutely love the community. It's like a second family, honestly. Anytime we get together, I feel like I'm closer with my doTERRA family than my extended family, you know, cousins, aunts, and uncles. Like, so I love that. And I started, when I started, I had a similar passion to Megan for self-reliance. And I was just on this search for how can I take care of my family. Like if we either can't go to a doctor or don't want to go to a doctor. I also love natural things, you know, so doTERRA just fit right in there. I feel like I finally completed my, you know, quest for the desire to take care of my family on my own, as much as possible, right? So when I first started, I started with the intent to share. And I don't know why, because this is the first business I've ever done. I have 6 kids and I've never had a desire to even work outside of the home. But when I started with doTERRA, I just, you know, kind of like Jan, I just felt like I needed to share this with people, because I want other moms to have the tools that they need. When their kids wake up in the middle of the night and are sick, we're not freaking out anymore, or like, oh no, or up all night. I'm just, you know, honestly, when I first started, I was excited when my kids got sick, even if it was the middle of the night, because I'd be like, yes, I get to use my oils, and then watch and just watch their magic and watch how they work. And time after time, you know, as my kids get sick, I just, boom, grab my oils. There's no stress. There's no anxiety. There's no loading everybody up to go to the doctor and wait, or be in the emergency room all night, or, you know, none of that anymore. In fact, since I've used oils, we haven't gone to the doctor for sick care at all, because everything that we've gotten sick with, I've been able to manage just fine and even better with my oils at home. And so seriously, every mom needs this, or every person. You don't even, you know, everybody does. And I love that they're natural, and I love that they're safe, and I love the company and all that they do to make the world a better place. Anyway, I think we could all go on for hours about this. I'm done.
Thanks, guys. So the next thing we wanted to do is kind of talk about some of the questions and concerns that we've either had ourselves or had people come to us with when it comes to sharing doTERRA. So I'm going to start with the first one. The first one, every time, it seems like almost every time I talk to someone about sharing doTERRA, the first thing they say is, I don't have time. I don't have time. So I want to just open it up to you guys. How do you respond to that for you personally, or maybe for other people that have come that you talk with about there's not enough time to share with others?
I'll share. So I'm busy. I've got 6 kids. I feel like sometimes I don't have time, but I do also feel like the more I have to do, the more productive I am. And if I don't have anything to do, nothing gets done, right? And so fitting doTERRA into my life has been very, I wouldn't say easy. It is hard. It's not easy, but you can find the time. There is time. We all have the same 24 hours. And if you want, it just depends on how we prioritize our time. So if our time is getting sucked away into, scrolling social media or watching Netflix or, piddling around the house, kind of trying to get something clean as our kids mess it up behind us or whatever. For me, doTERRA gave me a purpose of something to do with my time. And so, that's one way to look at it.
I totally think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about our priorities. I don't think there's one gal on this phone call that isn't busy, that isn't time. Finding time is not easy, and scheduling stuff in. We're all busy, but it's all about priorities. And if somebody says they don't have time, I've learned to just say, okay, because you're not going to prioritize doTERRA over whatever else you have in your life, which is fine, but it's your choice, that kind of attitude. And then go look for somebody who is willing to prioritize sharing others, lifting others, having the impact. I just go back to the story that Jana shared. Like, it's just having that impact and prioritizing that over whatever, else could take your time at that moment.
The other thing that I like to remember and think about and help others to see is looking in the long run, looking at the future, looking ahead, and what would it mean to them if they had more time freedom in the day? Like, what is it that they're busy with during the day? Is it because they're going to work from 9 to 5 and because they're taking care of their family and doing all of this? And if they don't change something, then nothing's going to change with their time. But if time freedom is something that they want and they really want to make it a priority, then there's that option of, yeah, it might be busier right now getting that done and building a doTERRA business. But when you get to that point where you have more of that financial freedom and you don't have to work your day job, then all of a sudden your time opens up so much more. And then you're able to actually do the things that you want to do and not just the things that you have to do.
I'll add to it that it just kind of becomes a part of who you are, and you just do it. It like fits into the pockets of life. So if you're out and you meet somebody, and if you listen to somebody and actually give somebody a chance to talk, you'll learn something that's going on with them, whether they're in pain, somebody's sick, or they're not sleeping. And you can always just offer them a sample to try. Or have you ever considered it just becomes a part of who you are? Or it has for me. I guess I'm not like generalizing or speaking, but most everybody I know, it's become a part of them. And like you're talking about the prioritization, if you want financial freedom, time freedom to do the things that you dream of, like big dreams, it is possible with doTERRA. I mean, would you be willing to sacrifice 2, 3, maybe 4 years to never have to work again for money? Like, and what did they say? Full time's 20 hours a week ish, 20 to 30 hours a week if you were to do your doTERRA time. So if you took 2 hours a day, you're 7 days a week or 6 days a week, you're halfway to that. So anyway.
So I'm gonna
Next.
I'm gonna jump in too on that one, because that has been the time issue has been a big thing for me as I've built a business with doTERRA over the last 8 years. And it goes back to what Janice said in the very beginning with the priorities. And the reason we started this call out with talking about our why is it really does go back to what do you want? And I say that all the time as I've mentored several different builders and all of that over the past years. My favorite question to ask people is, what do you want? And then what are you willing to do to get there? So kind of a side note, my husband, before I met him, he lived in California, and he was really trying to make changes in his life and figure out what was the next step. And he had a very close friend of his ask him, what do you want? And he said, well, I want a family and I want to live in Idaho. And he said to him, well, what are you doing to make that happen? And he realized sitting in Southern California, doing what he was doing down there wasn't getting him any closer to having a family and being in Idaho. So he started taking steps that would get him to be in Idaho. And that's how, we finally met and got married and we live in Idaho. And so I think it really goes back to that one question is, what do you want? And what are you doing to make it happen? If what you want, so for example, a big thing for me is I really, really love being with my kids. I really love it. I joke around with people all the time, but I'm really serious when I say that one of my favorite places to be is sitting in a set of bleachers watching my boys play some sort of ball, football, baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. I love it. I love it. And if I had a full-time job where I had to go to work 40 hours a week, or even if I had a job where I had to leave the house and go to work even 20 or 30 hours a week, I would miss a lot of those ball games and I would miss those opportunities. I homeschool my kids, not because I have a beef with the school district or education system or anything. I do it because I like my kids and I like being around my kids. And doTERRA gives me that opportunity. I'll be honest. There's been times as I've built my business that I've spent more time doing doTERRA. There's been times when I've spent a lot more hours a week than what I do right now. But because I've done that, I am in a place right now where I can homeschool my kids and I can go to basketball games, football games, baseball games. I can go to band concerts with my son. I can take him to piano things. And I still get a paycheck every single month. And I know how much it is. It's consistent. It happens every single month. And it's because I put the time in and I'm continuing to do it. And like I said, it really goes back to, I really truly believe it goes back to what do you want and what are you willing to do to get what you want. Anyway, next question. Do one of you guys have a question you want to open up for us?
I think the one question that I get or that I've gotten is, what would it take? What does it look like to actually build a doTERRA business if I were to do this? Like, what does that mean for me? What does it look like? So I don't know if anybody has any things to pipe in about that first.
I'll start. So what it looks like is, first and foremost, anybody who decides they want to share doTERRA has to first learn how to use the oils. So the first step, what it looks like, is them just using oils in their home and having experiences where they put an oil on a child or on themselves and they have a positive result. That's the first step, just using the oils, using the supplements, trying different things out and having experiences with those things. The second step, what does it look like? It is you just start sharing those experiences with people. The same as if I make shrimp tacos for the first time and they're really, really yummy. And then I go out and tell everybody, hey, I found this great recipe. Here it is. Try it. It's wonderful. That's what it looks like. It's that simple. I mean, you can make it more complex. And there are, you know, as you learn to build the business and you learn the different skills and techniques and things, yeah, it changes things up. But really what it looks like is using oils and telling people about it.
Yeah, even just jump in on that. It's kind of kicking me in the butt lately. So many people have come to me and said, oh, I had this issue. And I'm like, oh, I had a solution to that. And they're like, but you didn't share. You didn't open your mouth. You didn't tell me. So I didn't know that I should have come to you and asked. And so it's kind of like, like 3 times in the last week, people were like, well, had I known that you had the oils and had I known you had that solution, I would have called you up, you know? And so it's kind of been like, you know, right what Stephanie said is in my face of I need to be sharing more about what we're doing so people know to come ask.
If nobody else has anything, I'll pipe in a little bit too. Having just been to, I love how Stephanie said just those 2 things. Keeping it simple is key, I think. And really, I agree wholeheartedly. First, you have to use them. And I feel like I know better now what to say to people than I did when I've gotten those questions. And I think now what I would say is first be using the stuff like Stephanie said. And then second, again, sharing it. And what that looks like is just listening, talking to people and listening to what they have to say. And like Callie was saying earlier, if you talk to anybody long enough, they're going to be talking about either some pain they're having or sleep issues or somebody's sick. And when they do talk about that, just saying, hey, I've got something that you could try for that. Are you interested in a sample of essential oils? And then share what they've done for me. Like, hey, I had this experience and it was amazing. And this is how they helped. Would you like to try a sample and see if it will help you too? And then giving them samples. And then the next key with giving something to share is making sure that you follow up with them and ask how it's working. Just ask how it's helped. And if it hasn't, try something different until they find something that works, and letting them know that eventually we can find something that works for you. Everybody can find something that works. It's just a matter of finding what works with your body. And then once they have that experience, they're ready to come learn at a class and they're going to want the oils for themselves. And it just kind of builds and grows from there. And then you're asking them to share and to host, and it just goes out from there. But keeping it simple by using the oils and sharing them first. That's where it all comes down to. So I like that. Anybody else have anything on that?
Okay, then what's the next question that any of you guys have gotten, or a concern that somebody said to you when you asked them if they'd like to share doTERRA with others? And if you all don't have one, I do have another one.
The one that's comes up is the pyramid scheme. Is it a pyramid scheme? Well, no, it's not. And the reason why the doTERRA chose the network marketing way to build their company, to spread their product, is because they wanted people to teach people how to use the oils. So they could have done mass marketing with television, newspaper ads, magazines, whatever you have. But that wasn't the route they wanted to take, because they wanted it to be personal. They wanted people educated on how to use the oils. So does anybody else come up against that one?
I have. And I don't know, maybe because I've been doing this for so long, I've kind of gotten to the point where there's certain things that people say, and I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, whatever, don't even go there. Because here's the thing, people use that, is it a pyramid scheme? Because they are uncomfortable with the idea of selling something. That's really the bottom line, I think. And they also are uncomfortable with the idea, they maybe are someone who hasn't spent a lot of time in their life working towards improvement and becoming better. Because the whole idea with network marketing is the more you do, the goals you set, and as you hit different ranks, is they're really just benchmarks. They're really just opportunities to say, you know what, I want to be better in XYZ, and I'm going to go out and do it. And so a lot of people are really, really uncomfortable with that. A lot of people have never, ever in their lives decided that they wanted to make a change for the better in their life and then really gone after it. And so the idea of saying, well, is it a pyramid scheme? It's really just an excuse. It's just an excuse that people are using because they're uncomfortable with progression. And so the way that I have addressed that with people is I'll ask them, well, what is a pyramid scheme? How would you define a pyramid scheme? And then get their answer of what they see as being a pyramid scheme, and then just answer their question. Well, no, doTERRA is not a pyramid scheme because number one, you're not going to be cheated out of your money. Number two, you're not going to be asked to do things that are beyond, what's the word I want? You're not going to be asked to do things that are just completely and totally irrational and outside of the boundaries of what is normal, I guess I could say, because that's what my ideas of a pyramid scheme is. But it's really hard to answer that question if you don't know what they think a pyramid scheme is. If you know what they think a pyramid scheme is, then you can answer the questions. But ultimately, like I said, I think when somebody uses that excuse, it's because they are uncomfortable with progression. They're uncomfortable with being in a situation where they have to look at themselves and say, okay, I really don't like where I'm at right now, and I'd like to be in a different place, and I'm going to do things to make that happen. A lot of people are just really, really comfortable in their insecurities and in their, what's the word I want? People are really comfortable not progressing, just staying mediocre. Anyway, that's my soapbox. I'll turn it over for somebody else.
I'm kind of thinking on the fly here because I just loved everything that you just said, Stephanie. And it's like, it makes me wonder, like, if you're not getting the results that you want in life, why wouldn't you change so you do? But is it the insecurities, you think? Because, if you're not having the time, you want time freedom and you don't have it. You want to spend more time with your kids, but you don't have it. You want these results. Why are you unwilling to make those choices to get those results? I don't know. Something I'm pondering, but I like what you said.
Maybe it's this too. It kind of goes along with this. I could be way off. You guys are used to me, but I was talking with she's actually the yoga instructor, and she uses oils and doTERRA oils. She's not on my team or anything, but she was asking me how my business was going yesterday. And I was like, actually really good. We're chatting, and she goes, I found a lot of people lately that aren't even open to the oils at all. And I go, well, they are scientifically backed, so it's like, you can't really deny that the science, because to me, that's truth, right? Like, it's been proven. And I go, but the thing is there's people that aren't ready for that. They're not ready for the oils, because what the oils can wake the beast inside and bring us to have to face things. And I feel like that is like the number one resistance people have, is it's something new, it's something different, and so many people are just so unsure of themselves that that's the block. I don't know.
I like what you said. My next thing is like, well, then how do we help those people? But that might be a conversation for another call.
Maybe that's the next answer. How do we help those people?
So, you know, obviously if they're not open to the oils, you have to you totally respect that, because honestly, none of us want to work with somebody or try to convince anybody to use them if they're not ready for the healing. And I would say that those people watch you and they will come around if they're, depending on where they're connected at with your life, or somebody else will find them, or else they're stuck in their same old, I'm just going to say it, they're stuck in their own shit and they don't want to get out of it because it's comfortable.
I know you're right, but I'm trying to wrap my head around how that's comfortable.
I don't know. I just feel like you can't convince anybody. It's just an offer, and maybe just, you know, getting them to maybe think a little bit differently. But I would just say, well, you know, send them love and light and hope that they find some inner healing somewhere, because we all have it. We all need healing. So
I like that. Like, we could plant seeds, because they say, you know, if you see it 8 times, and maybe we're just one of those 8 times passing through their life, and then they're like, wait a second, in the last week, I've heard this 4 times. Okay, I better start paying attention to this if they're that receptive.
And especially if it's something that they're needing in their life. And so I heard somebody, they go, if I hear it 3 times, then I know I need to check it out or whatever. And so that's something that I kind of just go off of as well. Now I can't even remember whose philosophy that was, but the connections of hearing it X amount of times.
Well, and maybe. I think too, along that lines, the way you help people who have those kind of blocks about progression and becoming a better person, it goes back to your motivation in why you're building a relationship with that person. I know me, and I will admit this, I'm not a perfect person. Over the past 8 years, there have been times when I have built relationships with people simply to try and get them to buy oils or to be builders. I admit that. Is that the right thing to do? No, it's not. And I think the best way that you can help people being an example, but also being a true friend to someone, regardless of whether they're going to join your doTERRA team or not, is, I think, at the foundation of, at the beginning of the call, we talked about our why, and every single one of us talked about building a community and supporting people and helping others. And I think a big part of that, as you're building a doTERRA business and sharing essential oils with the others, is you can't forget that as the key, like the keystone, or the most important part of your business is building relationship with people, simply to build a relationship, simply to be a positive influence. Maybe they never want essential oils. That's okay, but you're still friends with them, and you can still be a positive influence in their life, because your relationship is not determined upon whether or not they spend money with you.
All right. Well, definitely a relationship business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether they use oils or not.
Right. Right. And I think that is key, because in order to be successful in any business, you have to build relationships with people. And if your relationships are totally dependent upon your bottom line and whether or not you're making sales, it's a very shallow relationship that doesn't have any foundation. It'd be kind of like if I built my house just on top of the ground and with no concrete or rebar or anything to hold it up. The first bad storm that comes through, it's gone. And so that's kind of how your relationships go. And the same is true as you do build doTERRA, like those of us on this call right here. I feel like we have relationships that if one of us, heaven forbid, said, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to continue to build doTERRA. We would still be friends with each other. We would still have a relationship, and we'd still have a connection, because it's deeper than just the doTERRA business. And I hope that makes sense. I think the real key to how we help people who have concerns about what we do, or whether or not they really want to jump in and share doTERRA with us, goes back to what is the motivation for the relationship, and what are we willing to do to nurture that relationship? Are we willing to be just a friend? Or is the relationship only going to be based upon whether or not they are actively hosting classes or enrolling people? Anyway, that's my answer. Anybody else want to add to that one? If not, we can pop in another question. Does anybody else have another question you want to discuss? The one last one that I had thought of is, and it was a concern of mine when I first started, is the idea of I'm not good at sales. I can't share doTERRA because I'm not good at sales. I can't sell stuff, and I don't want to sell stuff. How do you respond to that with people?
You don't have to sell stuff. All you do is you share solutions that are working for you, find things that work for them, and the oils sell themselves.
Yeah, I always say I don't like to sell stuff either, but but this is what I'm doing and it's working. So it's not, we're not out there pushing products on people. We're just educating people about the power of essential oils. And if they want to join in, great. And if they don't, we move on to the next person.
Yeah, doTERRA is different. It's different.
Well, one way I noticed it was different, and this was highlighted with a lot of friends who are in other network marketing businesses. The majority of network marketing businesses lead with the opportunity first because they know that's where the money is. That's their best thing to offer. And doTERRA leads with their product first because they know that's where the biggest difference is. I mean, how many of us on this call, if we weren't doing the business, would still order the oils? I mean, the oils are that powerful, right? My hand would go up, but I'm holding a baby. I couldn't imagine life without my tools. I would feel vulnerable if I didn't have them in my home. And, and that's what, like when Jana said, the doTERRA difference is we lead with our products because we know our products are where the real healing is, the true difference is.
So I'm going to take this a little bit different route. So I rereading Beach Money, and it's standing out to me a little. Things are different the second time around reading it. And he talked about the sales, people saying, oh, I'm not a salesperson. But if you're truly building a team and creating your residual income, you're not focused on sales. We need to focus on helping other people step into a leadership role and then help somebody else come into a leadership role. And, so that's kind of the business side of it. But definitely we have to have customers as well, because not everybody wants to step into a leadership role or grow into a leadership role. But the thing is I think every human being truly wants to help people. And if you knew the power, we know the power of the oils. We've all had our own aha experiences with them. We've heard stories that are like unbelievable stories of healing and for people that I think if you don't open your mouth up about them, then you're doing a huge disservice to yourself and to others and to the world, to your community or whatever. Because if you're sitting there watching somebody suffering and you know that you have peppermint or lavender right in your purse and you don't help them, how selfish is that? That's not selling. And on the other hand, we sell ourselves every day, whether you're a salesman or not.
I think or go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. I was just thinking that too, as Callie, as you were talking, like we do sell we're selling every day, whether we realize it or not. Even if it's just with our kids, we're selling people and trying to convince them to see things how we see them, or getting our kids to do the things that we want them to do, selling them on the idea that this is a good idea to do. It's a great idea to go clean your room or to fold your clothes and put them away, whatever it is. We're selling people. And so doTERRA is not that different in that way, but we do it in a way where we're serving people instead of just trying to get their money.
I agree. And I think I really just kind of wanted to reiterate what Callie was just saying too, in that it's all in how you look at it. It's all in how you define sales. So I had an experience when I very first started with doTERRA. I'd been in it a couple of years, and I was to the point where I was starting to really kind of rock and roll with it, and I was enrolling builders and training my first really good builder. Anyway, I had just enrolled this person, and they were getting ready to do their first loyalty rewards order. And I got on my back office and I checked, and I saw that they had done their loyalty rewards order. It was before the 15th of the month, and they had done their loyalty rewards. They'd put it in, and it was at like 115 or 110 or something like that. And I looked at it and I went, oh man, if she just spent another $10 or $15, she would get the free oil of the month. And the oil of the month that month was Balance. And I knew, because I had been talking with this person, she'd shared with me some of the things that she was dealing with and her family was dealing with. I knew that Balance was an oil that would help her specifically. I knew it. But I was so nervous. I was so nervous to call her up and tell her, hey, if you just order another lavender, you will get a free Balance. I was so nervous because I was so stuck in that idea of, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be, but my desire to help her outweighed it in that moment, outweighed my fear. And I went ahead, and she was on vacation at the time too. And I was like, oh, I don't want to bug her on vacation. I don't want to do this. I'm going to be a pest, and I don't want to be a pest. I mean, all of this went through my mind. But I went ahead and I called her, and I was so nervous. And I said, hey, I just noticed that your loyalty rewards order is supposed to run in like 2 days. And if you added a lavender or something that's at least 15 PV, you're going to get a free Balance. And she said, are you serious? Really? That was one of the oils I wanted so bad. Thank you so much for telling me. I so appreciate you telling me. And I got off the phone and I went, oh, phew, I did it. And was that a sales call? I guess by definition, you could say, yes, that was a sales call. But was my motivation in calling her just to get another 10 to 15 PV on my overall volume for the month? No, my motivation in calling her was, I knew that Balance was an oil that she was going to want. And I also knew that if she missed out on that opportunity, it would be my fault for not telling her. And I wanted to tell her, and I wanted to share that with her. So I think that's what it goes back to, is how do you define being salesy? Anyway. Is there any other questions you guys want to discuss, or we could just wrap it up right here? I think we've really done good. Okay. Then thanks everybody for coming to our call today. And those of you who are going to be watching this later, thank you. And be sure and be checking the Naturally You group for, we've got some fun things coming up and some ways we're going to be doing our classes and some different topics. So be sure and be checking in the Facebook group so that you can stay on top of it all. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks guys. Nice to see you.
Awesome call today.